Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, TC Youth fam. And hey, check it out. We are kicking off our live sex ed talk where we titled this Asking for a Friend, because I don't know about you guys, there's been a lot of times where, I wanted to ask questions about sex, dating, relationships, whether it's to friends, family, someone I looked up to, but I was too embarrassed to ask the questions. And so I would just say, hey, I'm asking this for a friend. Is it okay if my friend did this? And so that's why we're having this talks. And today we're going to be having two special guests join us today. Our lead pastors, Pastor Alex and Janae Evans. Woo! I can hear your typing keys in the chat. I hear the clacking noises saying how excited you are. Woo! But hey, I'm super excited that you guys are going to be tuning in. And why we're going to have them come with us is because they're just going to bring some great perspective and light to a lot of the questions that have been asked already. And let me tell you something, guys. We got some juicy ones. I don't know why I did that. We don't know why. So check this out, guys. So what's going to be happening with this is we're going to have some questions that are going to pop on the screen. And these are some questions that have been asked preemptively through our Slido link. Now, we have a facilitator in the chat room right now that's going to kind of post the link, post the places that if you guys still have more questions, you can ask, or you can ask your questions there. And so from that place, ask your questions there. It's anonymous, and then it's going to show up in the chat. We're going to do our best to try to answer it if it pops up on the screen. And I'm excited. We're excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I love being here. I love answering questions. I love helping people.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
I love having conversation. Here's the thing with this topic of sex. It makes people uncomfortable. Some people feel very comfortable. Most people don't feel the most comfortable about
sex
it.
In your room right now.
But actually, I think it's really healthy to have good conversations, to ask questions, to get them answered. The thing with sex is sometimes there's things that aren't necessarily black and white.
Yep.
And there's different opinions on things depending on which circles you're in.
Yep.
What we're always going to try to do if we were sitting here with you and you were here in the room with us, is we would ask you good questions, because I think when you start to converse and talk about it, that's when sometimes you start to realize some things. We definitely believe that God has his best for us, and that's what I always want to go after. I want to have God's best, right? I know we can get by with okay sometimes, right? And we're like, oh, it's okay. It seems like everything's okay. But I think God always wants us to have his very best. Yeah. And that includes in sex, in our sex lives.
Wow.
And we shouldn't, these are, when you have questions and you have things that you want to process and work through, God wants to reason with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? God says over and over in the Bible that he invites his people to reason with him.
Yeah.
So if you have things that are stressful that you don't have figured out and you're trying to figure out the answers to, and maybe you've tried talking to your parents and they're awkward, and you try talking to your friends and they give you answers that are kind of crazy, bring it to a place to allow Jesus or his spirit to speak into it.
Yeah.
Right? I'm hoping that in this environment, everyone at this table knows that Jesus is here with us, and that we're going to keep this conversation in a place that's encouraging and edifying and healthy.
Yeah.
So I love it. I love it. We get to be here. I love your questions.
Yes.
I love sex. I love it all.
Yeah.
All about your boy. We love it all. And so kind of taking exactly what you guys just said, because for me, maybe some of you guys that are watching, you guys would feel the same way as me from what I'm about to say, or maybe you guys from how we've seen people grow up in homes and how homes address sex. For me, I never had that conversation about sex. I kind of had to learn things on my own. And not only that, I think there's a lot of times that sex was kind of just what people told me to believe. Yes. So I'm assuming there's probably a lot of people that if you have these questions, you don't always just have to believe what everyone says you have to believe. Yeah. Whether what you said, whether it's from friends, sometimes from parents. Maybe we have parents that just have painted this picture that sex is like this, don't do this, sex is bad, blah blah blah. We have a lot of just these thoughts, but that's why I love what you said about encouraging conversation and bringing it to Jesus, because that's what this conversation's for. It's okay to have questions and to wonder, because I would rather ask a good question now and wonder and discover truth than later on just assume something's truth and regret it later, or feel like I just lived with this thing that was a complete lie my whole life, and really wrestle with that. And so,
Jesus says that if you find truth, you find freedom.
Yeah, that's so
Right.
good.
So that's what we want. We want people to be free, free sexually, free and living healthily, whole lives. Right? And that happens when you find truth.
Did you guys hear that? Truth will set you free. But are you ready for the truth? Do people really want the truth? I don't know.
I don't know. I think the truth can be hard when it goes against what you want.
Ooh.
Do you know what I mean?
Snap.
But it doesn't make it not the truth.
Stop going on
It's still
OnlyFans.
like we've been designed in a certain way. God crafted us. And so we can want all we want. We can have opinions all we want. But at the end of the day, actually our biology has been set in a certain way, right?
Yeah,
and so I think that can be hard because especially when with stuff like sex, with hormones, with feelings, right?
With desire.
Sometimes we feel certain ways. Yeah. And we're like, no, but this is what, so it can be hard to hear things that maybe go against that. But what I would always say, what will set everyone up for success in life is when we can at least allow ourselves to have those conversations, to have open ears, open hearts, because that's when you're going to be able to hear truth. And it may line up, and sometimes it doesn't align up with what your feelings are, your desires, your heart. But I think we want to be people that allow truth in. Right? But if we're already shut off, like, don't tell me unless you're going to tell me exactly what I want to hear. That's going to be dangerous later on, right? In a lot of different scenarios. So I would just say, hey, we're here. We're going to have this talk. Be open to even think about it maybe in a different way and just to take stuff on. This conversation doesn't have to stop here, right?
That's true.
So you can continue to have this conversation and to think on things and ask God. When we ask him and open ourselves up on it, like he always is meeting us there, right? And so just have those conversations. Be like, I was thinking about this. God's not afraid of our questions. God's not afraid of sex. He designed it. So we don't have to feel ashamed or weird or something like this is what we have to hide.
To be awesome.
It's true.
Awesome.
For it to bless our lives, right? But there is oftentimes a good time and a best case scenario.
Best times
That's
to
what
do
I mean.
it.
It's supposed to be awesome.
It's supposed to
not
be
just
awesome.
supposed to be okay. It's not just supposed to be.
It's not supposed to be some normal thing we do.
Or something we just got to get over.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
That's good.
Bam.
And there's a lot of broken people sexually in the world. There's a lot of things. It's been twisted and warped in a lot of different ways.
True.
So honestly, sometimes we can get opinions, but it's coming from brokenness. And so they're not always the best opinions.
Ooh, how many times have we been listening to people from broken opinions about their view on life and thought that was the truth? Dang.
That's my favorite.
Dang.
People that it's obvious they've made the worst decisions, and they're like, let me tell you what to do. And I'm like, wow. I'm like listening, and I'm like, that's a horrible idea.
It's intense.
Thank
So,
God.
Should we get to these?
with that said, guys, we are going to jump into some of the questions. Now I'm excited because these questions are coming in fresh, and there's more that will be coming up on the way. So let's get the first question up on the screen. Is masturbation okay?
That's a great question.
Coming right out of the gates.
Yes.
That is good because, okay, I'm going to throw it out to you guys to answer, but the truth is a lot of us, we hear in school masturbation is okay from a health perspective, right? From physical education, what sex ed in school and what people say, people should masturbate because it'll help with their prostate for guys later on or something like that. Like I've seen those posts, I've heard about that. So what's your guys' thoughts on masturbation?
Yeah, it's great. I'm going to let Alex answer this because I feel like you have a great way to talk through this.
Sure. Yeah, so like when you look in the New Testament scriptures, you don't really see anything like thou shalt not masturbate, right? But as far as the Christian perspective, this really kind of goes along with what you and I were just saying. God created sex to be awesome. Awesome, right? So I feel like in my experience, when you're talking about masturbation, when you think about masturbation is the ability to release or give yourself a release sexually. But really, oftentimes, it's not that awesome. In fact, usually when people are masturbating, they're fantasizing about something that they would rather be doing, right? No one sits there fantasizing about sitting in the bathroom, right? So it's like, the fact is what I would say to people about this question is I'm not going to go there and say, oh, is this right or wrong? But I would go is, do you really want to spend your time doing something that can get in the way of you going after God's best?
Yeah.
Do you really want to settle for something that is so far less than what God would have for you? Because we know that people are prone to habitual action.
Yeah.
Right? We train ourselves how to think, how to feel, and how to act. Right? I've been eating oatmeal in the morning for the last 16 years. When I don't have oatmeal in the morning, I feel like something's wrong. What you don't want to do is you don't want to create habits that absolutely get in the way of you going after something that is so much better, so much more quality, and with so much more beauty, so much more depth, so much more richness. But that can easily happen if you start implementing a habit like masturbation into your regular life, right? Yeah. So why would you do that, right? So my encouragement would be, instead of doing that, actually have vision for a healthy sex life. Yeah. And then pursue what that looks like. Yeah. Pursue God's best. Take active steps. The same amount of energy that you would put into that kind of activity, take healthy steps to something way better, way more satisfying, and way more long lasting.
Yeah. Which may take time.
So
in that may look like not you pursuing a guy or a girl so that you can have the actual physical act of sex with someone, right? You're thinking, okay, well, I'm not going to masturbate because this may become like a habit that isn't like the healthiest. And we all know, like you said, like our thought life is huge. Yeah. And so usually when you're masturbating, you don't have the best thoughts, right? That are the pure thoughts. That's what I would say, right? Yeah. At the time, that person maybe that you're thinking about is not yours. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so totally. That can get in the way. But I would also say this is what that could kind of look like, is that you could use that time and start setting yourself up to like work on you. Do you know what I mean? To understand your feelings, understand who you are. Do you know what I mean? Instead of kind of going with the flow. A lot of times it can be hard when there's certain urges or desires that we have or whatever. But those are the things I feel like as we work through them and go beyond them, it does make us stronger, right? It does.
So. Anytime you tell yourself no, whether it's eating a donut, masturbation, saying something to somebody you know you shouldn't, anytime you tell yourself no, it creates greater discipline and greater capacity in your life. Yeah. Right? Because that's what our life is all about. We are created to, in a way, deny ourselves and go after something better than what is momentary. Right? And just to speak a little bit more on masturbation and then kind of to bring in pornography, even though that's not a part of the question. I also think that in a way, it's probably one of the most unloving things you can do when you're thinking about really what God has for you as far as sex. Because what you're doing when you're masturbating or watching porn or whatever is you're objectifying whatever you're fantasizing about or whatever you're watching. Yeah. You're objectifying them and reducing them to something where their only purpose in that moment is to get you off. That's super selfish. Yeah. Right? Sex is supposed to be something beautiful that two people share together. Yeah. Where they're both united together, where they're experiencing the intimacy and the connection and the release together. Yeah. But when it's not that, then it's just something kind of selfish, where you're just like, no, it's all about me, and this person is here to serve my purpose alone, right? And that's not as cool, right? So if you're the kind of person who's like, oh, I want to be a good person, I want to love people, I want to like be selfless and not be selfish, then maybe it was not the best decision, right? So.
Yep. And what I would also love to say, because if you have masturbated or does God still love you? Yes.
Absolutely.
Right? Does he still want to talk to you? Yes. Yeah. Is he walking with you? Can you hear him? Yes. Right? All these things, it's not that, but I think it's oftentimes these choices going after God's best and saying, okay, God, what would you have? It's letting him into those spaces because he may want to guide you to something better. So it's kind of letting him in, having those conversations.
That's great. And I love it because I love that you brought in porn and different things because, the truth, and you were talking about the thoughts that come in. Because the truth about fantasies is fantasies create expectations. Yeah. And then expectations kind of breeds this thought of like, oh, well, it's like, let's say someone gets addicted to porn and masturbating and it's all based off of fantasy. Well, then when they finally have sex or all that stuff, it's already kind of like, it's dumbed down the desire, the expectation of what they thought it's supposed to be like or look like, because any type of masturbation or fantasy already painted a picture of what they think it's supposed to look like.
That's real
so
life.
When it doesn't happen that way, that's why, I feel like there's so many couples that are having so many issues nowadays. Yes. From older couples till even now, because there's been such a, just been such a attack on people's mentality when it comes to masturbation, thinking, oh, it's just a physical thing to do.
Yeah.
It's more than that. I think it's the mental, the emotional part of it, that you emotionally get tied to this fantasy.
Yes.
And when it doesn't happen, you just get let down.
So Jordan, true life, bro. Like I know multiple guys where it gets to that point where you're training your body. This is what sexual experiences are supposed to be like.
Yeah.
So then when you actually have quality sexual experiences, you can't function in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you've taught your body this is what it's supposed to be. So you bring in what it's really supposed to be. Your body's like, whoa, what's going on?
Exactly.
I don't know how to respond to this.
Yeah. And we actually, and this is, for Alex and I, we have the opportunity and the privilege that people do share with us.
Yeah.
And I think we as well have, like, we share and we put ourselves out there and are vulnerable so that others will do that with us. And so we've had the privilege to journey through a lot of different scenarios in life with people. Yeah. And we have seen this over and over. So it's not just something that we're like, oh, it's a, you know, a theory. It's not a theory. This really happens in relationships.
And it sucks when it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really hard. Yeah, for both parties.
Shout out to guys.
Right?
Yeah.
So maybe we should go to the next one.
Yeah, let's go to the next one. As we're getting the next one up, hey, I want to encourage anyone that's in here that's watching. Look, if you struggle with masturbation or pornography, that's why we have tribes, we have groups that you can get plugged into, talk, open up, say, hey, you know, this is something I've thought about or I've struggled with. There is a place for you to open up about that stuff because we want to journey with you. Yeah. And to the next question, how do you know you actually love someone? How does it feel? What does it feel like? Does it feel like the butterflies in the movies? Does it look like what we see in the thing? Yeah.
This is a great question.
There we go. I love it. This. I feel like this is like a Janae question.
Yeah, I love this
we
question.
all know this is a Janae question. Everybody already, the person who wrote this, they wrote this thinking Janae's going to answer this.
Stop. No, I love this because love is way more than feeling.
Yeah,
right?
which I think with teenagers, like, well, okay, I'm not bashing teenagers, but I think like when you're in that age from 13 to 22, like your hormones and emotions, everything's going off, and like,
shout out 13 to 22.
You know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you don't know
for
nothing.
Sure that love, like, I think I really love this person. You know?
It feels so intense. This is the craziest part: is God designed us with layers, and it's for real. And so actually,
or like a delicious onion.
Like a 5-layer bean and cheese burrito.
In all different ways. Yeah. Not only are we not just physical, but we obviously have different parts of our life, the spiritual, the mental, the emotional. We have different parts, but also...
We're like S. Chendal.
Yeah. With something like this, with love, love was actually, it's made, when you look at the science behind it, to develop. Into something deeper.
Yeah.
Ooh,
so
I didn't even know that.
This is science, people.
Yeah,
this isn't just Janae saying this, but here's the thing. All of that intense love, right? That actually, the hormones that are released for a certain amount of months to bring people together. It's like that intense, like
a bonding.
When you feel the butterflies, when you feel like the intense emotion, right? And then it switches into a different type of hormone. Like it progresses, it changes. And so you see in couples, now I know we're talking to teenagers out here, so you may not even be thinking like marriage. I'm not thinking about that right now. For sure. But we see couples that are even married.
And if you're not thinking about that now, you probably shouldn't be thinking of love.
True. But it's one of these things where, well, maybe in a romantic way, we all need to love all the time. Okay. Yeah. We'll put that out there. But romantic love. So how does it feel? It can feel one way, but if you just go on just the feeling, right? Where it's like, oh, they just make me, I get tingly around, right? I get excited, my heart, like all these different things. Well, that is going to run out.
Feelings
and
run
it's
out.
meant to, right? Totally. And so but I sit down with couples. I've sat down with women. We've sat down with the full couple that say like, I just don't feel the same way. Right? I don't have that same thing. But here's the crazy part is it's meant to change and to go deeper, right? To learn that person and for love to grow in a different way where you're like, wow, I don't feel like I love you right now, but my love goes deeper than that and I'm committed to you. Like I'm in this for the long haul. I'm so deep in it that I want to see your dreams come true. I'm so deep in it that I'm willing to forgive you even when you've been like mean to me or whatever. That I'm so committed and deepen this so in love with you that I want to work on this every day. Even when I don't like you anymore, and I would like to put you aside and choose someone
Come on,
else.
that's love. Come
right?
on, somebody.
And that's,
Are you ready for that?
That's no joke. So how can you
I feel like
actually
that's your struggle
love
every day.
someone? How do you know when you love someone? I think you start to ask yourself, like, am I willing to go through and put in the hard work that I'm willing to really like work on this, even when like that would show some love, right?
For sure.
That I'm willing to put myself on the line, to be vulnerable, to look at stuff in my own life that I don't want to look at and that I think I'm right in.
Wow.
But because I love you, I'm going to look at it,
Do the hard work.
and be humble and say, I probably don't have it all together.
Totally.
And I think some of these questions, when we start to like look at it, knowing you love someone, I think can take time. I would definitely not just go off those first feelings,
No.
because
Yeah,
it
don't give
would
it
be
those
dangerous later, right?
Don't
Because
give it
I'm
love and
saying,
Lust are two different things.
yeah, and you want to test it out.
Yeah.
Like you
Your
want to see
emotions are
that
going
person.
off.
You want to be with them, see them with other people, right? Like be around in different environments. Like, is this someone that I'm like, no, like I can do life with them. I can see building a life, and not just when they're nice to me or when they look good or when other people are attracted to them. Because for some people that makes them more attractive, right? You're like, oh, well, other people think they're attractive, so like I will now. But like it goes beyond that.
Like, I think that like a good test for people, right?
Yeah.
Like, so lust, like we all have lust. And like usually in church, it's like, oh, lust is evil. Like, listen, lust is a part of like humans.
Yeah.
Like, it's like we crave things, we desire things. But oftentimes we confuse it. We think that it's love, but it's actually really lust. And a way to know is lust is always looking at a person and what they can do for you.
Yeah.
How they can make you feel,
Yeah.
how they can affirm you,
Yeah.
right? That's lust. Let's just be honest. Like, if that's how you feel,
Lust
if
is
that's
what-
why you're excited
Yeah,
for
that's good.
a guy or a girl to be with you,
Because what
that's
they
lust.
get,
That's
what
not
you
love.
get out of them.
What you
is
get out of
lust.
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love is what you said. Love is like, what can I do
Yes.
Yeah,
for
that's
this person,
That's it.
for this relationship? Love is what drives you to think, how could I serve this person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How could I serve alongside this person? How could I do something with them and for them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Right? That's love, right? And that's not as like sexy, and you might not
No,
give you
totally.
goosebumps, but that's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So when you're like in that age group that we just discussed that has almost everything pretty much figured out, that 13 to 21, if it's just self-gratifying, that's not love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just it's just lust. It's
and
just
that
kind of
doesn't
petty.
exactly. It doesn't mean we can't enjoy
Yeah.
the butterflies and the
Yeah.
excitement,
Totally.
but that we would go beyond that and look a little deeper.
Yeah. That's good.
To really look at, do I love this person
Yeah.
in a romantic way at this level?
Yep.
Yeah,
Right? Do
for
I want to
sure.
journey with this person?
Yeah.
Because we really want to be loving people all around us, our friends, our family, right? The people we just meet. But when we're talking about that romantic love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good. Just to recap again, some of the things you guys said, lust is what you get for yourself out of the relationship. Love is what you can give towards the relationship. Oh shoot, what did you just say? You just said it. You just said it like
no.
5 seconds ago.
Oh,
Why are we
no.
making? Oh gosh.
Think about it, Janae.
I was trying to recap it in my mind because I thought everything you said was so good. But I think something. This is the thought that comes to my mind about all this, because the truth is, like, the feelings. I love what you were saying before, that some the feelings that we have, we're designed with this.
Yeah.
Like it's natural to feel these things. But I know in the Bible it says that don't awaken love before it's due time.
Yeah.
That's so
and
good.
and you know,
Jordan.
and I think that's an issue with, I think when we're young, is because like it's like we want to so bad.
Yeah.
But then oftentimes when we do things out of time, we end up doing things that end
Completely.
up hurting us. You know,
Yep.
it's like telling a 5-year-old to lift weights. You
Yeah.
know, it's like, bro, you're 5. You know, don't do this.
Yes.
You're gonna get hurt. And it's like, so not awakening love before it's due time is okay, which
Yeah.
is hard. It's hard when you're 13 to 21 or 13 to 24 or whatever. It's hard because your emotions, all that stuff's going on, but it's worth it. You know, I think it's worth it to I love what you're saying, to learn how to learn yourself,
Yeah.
introspect in yourself, learn, and really ask great questions to ask, like, are you actually willing to go and develop love to a deeper level, more than just the feelings, but like I would die for your dreams to come true. I want to change myself, all that stuff. And so I thought it was so good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's jump to the next one. What age is appropriate to start dating?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, I think that that's so great what you just said, because I feel like it segues into this question, right? Is not awakening love before it's time, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I get it, in today's society, it's just like, you need to have a boyfriend or girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's like,
remember when our son was like FaceTiming that girl, and I was like, oh, that's his girlfriend, and you're like, don't say that.
Yeah, no, they're friends, right? Let kids be kids. Like, here's the thing that I would love to say anyone, and everyone can roll their eyes or be like, she's old. I get it. But like, seriously, there is, like, you only get certain seasons in that season, right?
Yeah.
And so being a kid, and I know people don't like to be called kids, but it's awesome.
It's awesome. I wish I could go back to being 15.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
I wish I could go back to being 15. Oh my gosh.
Microwave
your
popcorn
thing.
and Nintendo.
Video games all day.
Duck hunt.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
10 hours a day.
There will be a time, a day, when that's time, when you're like, oh, I'm actually in a stage of my life where I do want to journey the long haul and deal with people's issues as well as them dealing with mine but like, if I just say, enjoy the time when you are in that time frame that is still considered a kid.
Yeah.
Like, even if you're a big kid or a smaller one, and enjoy it and have vision for your life without another person.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Go for it. God,
Have
if he
vision
woke
for
you
your life
up and
without a
you don't
person.
have a boyfriend or girlfriend,
Dude, I love
you
that.
still have purpose in your life,
Yeah,
right?
come on.
It's
So
like-
In
good.
fact, you can probably have even bigger purpose in your life because your
Yeah.
purpose isn't
Just
divided.
yeah.
You don't have to be
So-
calling someone or worrying about or them
No.
like, I
Run
saw you do
hard.
this or
Live
like
life.
that.
Unrestrained.
You get to just do and live. Wow. Okay. What?
I don't know.
It's like,
I don't know.
we don't know what these motions are, but draw your own conclusions. But it is one of those things where it's just like, man, I would just say, enjoy it, love it. And for all those people that say, no, you're supposed to have, or make you feel like no, you don't. You don't need it.
Yeah.
Do your thing.
Yeah.
Live your life.
Live your life.
Figure yourself out.
Oh my gosh.
Right? And then when you go into that next stage of life, you'll be so much more ready and healthier
Yeah.
to have a way better relationship than you would probably at an earlier stage.
And I would say, just to answer the question and tell people, because they might be thinking, okay, Miss Janae, but like when?
When?
What's an
This
age?
is when there's no age, but I would say
it's not like
when
it
you
says
don't
it.
need it.
Yeah, that's a great.
When you're not like
when you're not looking for a relationship.
Yeah.
Girlfriends.
Look at their
need a
Instagram. Like
boyfriend.
when you're not like that,
Yeah.
and this is it. When you're not like that, you're not like that when you have your own ambition,
Yes.
Ooh.
your
vision
own
for your
clarity
life,
and
dude.
vision for your life.
Yes.
Yep.
You know what you want.
Oh, yeah.
You're headed in that direction.
That's a great way to put
right?
that,
When
bro.
you have those things and you're running forward,
Oh, yeah.
and you don't find yourself at night being like, why doesn't anyone love me?
Yeah.
Like, that's when you're ready.
Real.
Yeah.
In fact,
I love
if
that.
you,
That's
if you
good. That's
aren't
great.
there, then you're probably going to go into that relationship not in a place to be a gift to that person or
Yeah.
to serve that person,
Yeah.
but you're just going to be looking for what that person can do for
Oh,
you.
for sure.
You're wanting them to
Ooh.
affirm your feelings and your
Snap,
insecurities.
dude.
And it's going to be like a nasty, toxic
This should be
relationship.
Oh
on
yeah.
every-
People
You know
that
what I mean?
suck people dry.
Oh my
They, like,
gosh. And I
suck
see that
the life
happen
out of
all
them.
the time. And it's the worst because I'll have like good friends and they'll get in a relationship.
Yeah.
And their partner is just like literally it's like Vampire Diaries or something. They're just like, ooh, like I just give me
Which is never
everything. Like, it's
fun.
so crazy.
Life
But I'm
No,
like,
yeah.
but that's the thing. That's when you're ready. When you don't need it, that's when you're
Yeah.
ready.
That's
when you have
good.
peace
That's so good.
without
Oh
a
my
boyfriend or
gosh.
girlfriend,
Love
you're
it.
probably ready for a boyfriend or girlfriend.
There you
when
go.
you're comfortable,
Yeah.
secure, motivated without a boyfriend or girlfriend, then you're probably ready for a boyfriend or girlfriend.
Yep.
the spirit
and
of
it
God
doesn't
talking.
mean in that space that you're not like, oh, one day I would like to have that, but you're okay not having it,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And I
It
I
isn't
think
a
that's
freaking-
incredible.
It isn't shaking your world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you
totally.
have a life, you know who you are,
Yeah.
and I believe that that's where God wants us to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That we're secure in who we are, that we don't feel like because I think it's dangerous, because then you think you're gonna get what you need out of another person, and you can't, right?
Ooh.
And so then it all gets messed up, and you're devastated, and you're like, this person, and really it's not their fault. It's just you were putting these expectations, like they were gonna give you exactly what you needed, when really God's like, hey, I'm trying to give you everything you need.
Yeah.
And that you know that you're fully loved, so you can walk confidently in that, and then you can pick an awesome person.
So Janae, let's just open up our life for a second, because we didn't have this understanding when we got together. I wish we did.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I wish we did.
Like which part? What do you mean?
Everything we just said.
Yeah. I mean,
When we
I'm
got
like, I would
together,
say-
how many years of our relationship was toxic and unhealthy and destructive to each other and our relationship?
Yep.
Because we weren't really ready. How many years?
Yes, for
a
sure.
lot of years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Horrible.
And-
I give, and I'm not a regret person. I really am not. I'm not a regret person. I'm I smoked my life. My life was awesome. I'm awesome. God's awesome. That's one of the regrets.
Yeah.
Is that I would have gotten healthier and to a place where I was okay without you.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then when I was with you, I could be there actually with intention and purpose to like love, to serve, to make things better.
Yeah.
That's why your sermon the other day was so awesome. When we go into a relationship, we should be looking, how can I make this person better? How can I make this situation better?
Yeah.
How can I serve this person?
Yeah.
Right? And it's impossible. And you could go in there being like, no, that's my intention. I know like little girl, not
Girls or boys?
girls or boys. And I know we're like, no, like I just feel like, no, I want to serve them. I want to be there for them. But dude, if it's shaking up your world, no, you're looking for that person to bring you peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's good.
It's good.
That's good. Wow.
It's a lot.
That was
Sorry
good.
if that was
it.
heavy.
If you're I love, just to recap that, if you're looking, you're probably not ready. Or like, but not like that, but like, how did you say it? Like if you're, oh God,
If
you just said
that's-
it so good.
yeah, you said
if that's
like
like your
if-
world,
if
you're probably not
that's-
ready.
If that's what you need.
Yeah.
Then you're probably not
I don't know.
ready.
Or it's like,
Yeah.
it's like the way, it's like, if once you get to a place where you're like, oh yeah, I'm fine without her, I'm good.
Then that's
Yeah,
a
that's
perfect
probably
time to
great.
look
Yeah.
for a relationship.
Yeah.
We're good.
They can rewind it and say, just so you know, guys, we're not holding anything back for you. So hopefully they're not
shoot
just
it
like, oh,
straight.
this is a lot. But
Yeah.
This is for you, Nadine
Yeah.
and Priscilla.
we know that you guys can.
Next question. What would be defined as cheating and how far is too much? If they do, should we forgive them and give them a second chance or go our separate ways?
Yeah.
So
This is a good question.
let's try to do this quickly. I feel
I'll
like it's
just
more
do-
simple.
Yeah,
I'll do
do
the
the
first
top.
half.
Okay.
Okay.
You do the
first
second half.
Yeah,
Sure.
there you go.
What would be defined as cheating? That's really tough because then you're like, oh, is it kissing cheating? Holding hands cheating? What if my
Yeah.
boyfriend hangs
There's
out with
no
another girl
firm
or girl?
definition. Yeah.
But this is what I would say, is when you don't put that person in a relationship that you're in a relationship with, when you don't make that person priority,
Yeah.
or if you feel like you have to hide it from that person, that's probably cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? If you're, because relationships are different. Like if you're like, we just talk on the phone at night. I've known this girl forever. She's
Yeah.
my best friend. And your girlfriend is like, ooh, I'm really not comfortable with that. But you're like, you know what, babe? Too bad. Like that's not putting her in the
Yeah.
priority she deserves.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And you might not be doing anything with her, but you're literally what you're doing is you're choosing another girl
Yeah.
over your girlfriend. Same with guys.
Yeah.
You're choosing another guy
Yeah.
over your boyfriend, and that's
Yeah.
why cheating hurts people so
Another
much.
girl over your boyfriend.
Another
Or, wait.
sama.
Yeah. You know what you're saying.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
what you're saying.
That's why cheating hurts.
Yeah.
You want to ask a person that's been cheated on, why did this hurt you? Because they chose them over me.
Yeah.
They
That's it.
betrayed me.
Wow.
Yeah.
They chose them over me, what we had. That's why it hurts.
Yeah.
So whenever you do that, it's going to be like cheating. It's
Yeah,
going to
for
feel like that. It's going to be a betrayal.
I
Yeah.
love that.
And I think that's so good. And this is
So right
one thing that I'll say about that is having good conversations and putting expectations out there and knowing where your guys' boundaries are with that kind of stuff
Yeah.
is really important.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like for some people, they may be fine with you calling your best friend that was something. For others,
big
not.
deal.
But I just think that's why there's not a firm black and white.
I don't think I have any best friends that are girls except for you.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Maybe
No, you
Cree.
don't. Yeah, our daughter.
Charlie, our beagle.
Yeah, our beagle. But I would just say have these conversations. These
to.
are the things that go into having a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
These are the things that can show and say, like, are you in a place where you're mature enough that you even want to be in one, right? Do you even want to deal with that? If you don't, and just don't be in one. Do you know what I mean? Because these are the things, because the relationships do take a lot of work.
For sure.
And that's why I think sometimes a little bit later, not, you know, if you awaken that too soon, it's just you're not equipped.
Yeah.
Right? Tools, with everything. And it's just like, it's just a lot, and you have other things that you get to worry about. So, yep.
That's good.
And then if they do, should you forgive them and give them a second chance, or go your separate ways? So I think that is, forgiveness is incredible, right? I think this goes into another thing when we're talking about when you're choosing a person, if you love them, are you going the long haul, right?
Yeah.
And that's why really when we're talking about relationships, they're leading up to marriage, right? And so in marriage, before a marriage, if the covenant isn't made, you're not together. I mean, there's still that opportunity. If you're realizing this isn't the person, that's the time to realize it. Do you know what I mean? Run! Like it's not, if the cheating, but it is going to come to a time when you do choose a person to love and go deeper with. That forgiveness is going to have to be exercised. Many times. Many times. And I think every scenario could be different, right? Like, so I'm not going to get into all these, well, if this, then it's not. But I would say allow God into all those spaces and to be asking him, God, show me, right? Yeah. Show me. So and good. Forgiveness doesn't mean you have to be with that person, right? You could forgive someone, but say, I just don't think it's healthy for us to be together. But I forgive you, and I still want the best for you. And I still love you, and I believe that you're going to have a great, healthy relationship.
Until I get another boyfriend.
Right? Just not with me. So there's always that option too.
Yeah.
That's true.
It doesn't have to be either or. They can be. So
that's true. I mean, and the reality is, like, if you're with someone that is, you know, if they're secretly having these secret conversations and like what we were trying to describe earlier about how how someone's putting another person first before you or something like that. Like, to me, those are clear signs that the other person isn't ready for a relationship.
Yeah.
You know, they're just not ready for a relationship.
Or one to the same degree that you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they may still be in the I'm just checking things out phase, while you're in I want to put a ring on it phase.
Right.
Yeah.
And you gotta figure out how to bring some alignment there.
Yeah.
For sure.
But that's not going to happen without what you said.
Yep.
Communicated expectations.
Yeah, you got to talk about it, which is just sometimes so uncomfortable and annoying and just awkward. Yeah. But it's so important. And I think both parties can grow from it in the relationship, right? Yeah. It's healthy. It helps you mature in life and just be a healthy human being.
Yep.
Yeah.
In all kinds of relationships.
Yep.
That's good. That's good.
Grown ups.
All right. Next question. I think we're going to do maybe one or two more, and then we're going to see if there's any other open questions that you guys are asking that we could answer, or we'll just let the guys put it on.
Okay.
How to show a toxic person
that they are
toxic in a relationship. That's the coolest question.
Yeah, fine. There we go. Let's go.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I feel like that's really based on your personality. Because I know how I would tell a toxic person they're toxic in a relationship. Wait, is this a relationship that I'm in? Like, am I talking to that person
that's
like my boyfriend?
Yeah,
or is this your friend and you're like that third wheeler that's hating on their boyfriend?
Yeah, that's
you're
what
like, your boyfriend is so toxic. Like, is that what it is?
Well, I would say in either one.
Can I answer the one if you're
in
the relationship with them?
But I think they're kind of handled both the same way. But yeah, go for it.
So if I'm in a relationship and I think a person is toxic, this is how I'd handle it. I would say, hey, I don't think we should see each other anymore.
Mm-hmm. Are you gonna expand on that, the why?
Yeah. No, so I'd be like, because it goes along with what we're saying. Like, you're not married to them.
Yeah.
You're not and when you hear toxic, toxics are pretty extreme. And then they would be like, but why? Whatever. And I would be like, because I feel like these things are really unhealthy.
Yeah.
And that's it.
But you're gonna say these things. You're
I
gonna
would
tell
say what
them
it is.
the why.
Yeah, I would tell them. I'd be like, the other day when you were 5 minutes late. I was joking. No, I mean, I would say you're always still talking to your ex-boyfriend. You throw fits when I ate chips at your mom's house. That really happened.
You put me down.
You call me names.
You're controlling.
You know what I mean? You're controlling. Sure. Yeah. You know what I mean? You threw my phone against the
Super
wall. You know what I
super
mean? Like
critical,
these are the things
judgmental, all
that
that
are,
stuff.
yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah.
toxic, dude.
Because I think that's the thing in any, whether I'm coming to my friend and I see it,
Yeah.
and I'm like, man, like I love this person so much. They're my friend. I think number one, and this is going to help everyone grow. And I know it's like, these are the uncomfortable things. To confront something is the loving thing to do.
Loving.
Yeah.
Now, how do you do it, right? You don't go in. People get so defensive so quick. So for me, we actually had a podcast. We talked about confrontation.
Yeah.
My whole goal when I confront things is to try to keep people's defenses down, because as soon as those walls go up, nothing's getting in that you say, right? If people don't feel like you're for them or against them, don't love them, or aren't willing to hear them out and see their perspective, things start shutting down.
You do so good with that with me.
Wow.
I
thank
never
you.
even notice when you confront me. I'm like, did Janae just confront
Just
me?
over that is
Or
not
did
true.
she kiss me? What just happened?
No.
Are we pregnant again?
But I've had to exercise this and try to get better, because for me, confrontation and having to deal with stuff is hard, right?
Yeah.
But really, when I started to realize that this is the loving thing to do, that if I really love them and want them to know and at least be aware of something, as well as for me, this is how I grow. The easy route is just to be like, cut them off, right? Stop like calling them, don't let them know. But I think for you to have the conversation, say, oh, this is what I do. This is how I'm like, this may be a hard conversation. I just put it out there. I just let everyone know this is kind of hard for me to say, and it may be hard for you to take, but I want you to know that I'm doing this out of love. I've prayed about it. I've thought about the words that are coming out of my mouth, and I'm praying right now that they come out and that you know that I love you. I just put it out there. I know it seems kind of vulnerable, but I feel like when people know you're coming from that place, that you're like, I know I don't get it right all the time, and I might not be seeing, but I want to hear your heart on it. Like when you do these things, what's your heart, right?
And I would say, like,
To
if
give
you
them
aren't willing
space.
to be vulnerable when you confront
Yeah.
someone, that's not confronting in love.
Yeah.
You're just being mean.
No.
Yeah.
And I think one of these things, when you have these conversations, whether it was with a friend that you see a toxic relationship, or you're telling the person you're in a relationship with, I think to be able to state the things that you saw, I think don't ever do it in anger.
Yeah,
If
wait.
you are hot and just want to throw everything, that you're not going to do it in love. And you're probably going to throw something out there that you probably didn't want to say. You have to let it sit for a minute. Go to God, be like, am I seeing this right? Like, this is what it is. Really look at some of those things and then come to them and say, these are the things that I see and that for me just aren't okay.
Yeah.
Do I think you can grow beyond these things? For sure. Because I always want to be for someone. You don't want to make them feel like you're toxic. No one, you should never be, right? Because we've all been in a place where we don't get it right. And I always want to be hopeful for a person, but it doesn't mean I have to be in the relationship.
Yeah.
Right? I don't have to stay in the relationship to be for someone.
Yeah.
I can leave, but to let them know. And then it's in their court.
Yeah.
They get to do what they want with that information,
Yeah.
right? They can decide to take it and to grow in those things and to grow beyond and look like, why do I treat people this way? Or they could continue to get in another relationship and do it, but at least you've done everything you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
All right.
Great thoughts, guys. All right. What does the Bible say about same-sex marriage? Ooh.
That's a good question.
It's a great
What
question.
does the Bible say, babe?
It doesn't say anything about same-sex marriage.
It's true. It doesn't say anything about same-sex marriage.
It says
Yeah.
same-sex sex, but it doesn't say anything about same-sex marriage.
Yeah.
So, like, I would just say that the simplest, most clear way to answer this is when you look at, first of all, number one, we're going to say that we are New Testament Christians.
Yeah.
Right? So you might be saying, like, well, I'm looking in Leviticus right now. And I'm like, if you're looking in Leviticus, it says a lot more about this, or a lot more than just this, that you should also be applying to your life. However,
Yeah.
if we're talking about the New Testament and we're talking about what we believe in as Christ followers, then you're looking at passages, and I think the most easiest way to explain it would be Romans 1, where when you have a lot going on in the society, one of the things that's addressed is same-sex sexual intercourse, right? Where you have men that are sleeping with men and you have women you're sleeping with women.
Yeah.
Now, also part of that context in the Roman Empire at that time, especially in what the Apostle Paul was addressing
Yeah.
was the fact that there's a lot of sexual immorality or sexual impurity happening. There's orgies. There's temple prostitutes where literally people would go to church and have sex with a prostitute, and then they would say, that's how I'm worshiping God.
Yeah.
Right? There was pedophile. Like, there's people having sex with kids. There's people having sex with their families. Incest. There's a lot of sexual impurity happening. Now, the Apostle Paul starts addressing a lot of those types of things. Now, along with that, he also talked about idolatry. He also talked about when we start worshiping the creation more than we worship the Creator. And this is exactly what the Apostle Paul said. He said that when men are laying with men and having sexual acts with other men, or women are laying with women and having sexual acts with women, they are worshiping the Creator or the creation more than the Creator. And they have turned away from God's natural way. That's what it says, right? So we and anybody who follows any sort of deism, which is a one God religion, whatever that is, Islam, Judaism, Christianity, you know that the historical story of creation is that God created a man and a woman, and that man and the woman came together as one flesh and multiplied and subdued the earth. That's it. So when the Apostle Paul is addressing it, saying they turned away from God's natural way, he's referring back to the natural way of Adam and Eve in that story, right? So when that's what the Bible says.
There you go. Which I'm sure there'll probably be more people to kind of ask and elaborate on that. We'll pull up those questions later. But I love that. For now, we're just going to kind of answer that question and keep going.
Yeah, because there is a lot. And I would just like to say, if you do we love having conversations with people. All of us have had so many conversations on so many different topics. If you want to know more, we're answering this specific question. But we would love to sit down with any of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And talk about anything that you want to talk about and answer the questions. We definitely never want to shy away, and we want to bring as much clarity as possible.
Absolutely.
So if that is any of you, let us know. You can always DM people on your social media accounts, emails, whatever it looks like, and let us know, because we can answer more.
Yeah. And again, our heart in this is that whether if you are someone of same-sex attraction or have had same-sex marriage or any of that stuff, like Jesus is open, like with you, like he accepts you in the way that he just wants to bring you in. And so within us, like we are of this place of like, hey, like we're not going to sit here and Bible bash you or do this stuff. Like I think whenever this stuff comes, it's like, hey, let's have a conversation about it. Let's have we build relationship around this, and let's talk about it. So I love that. So don't be afraid to ask more questions, guys. Let's go on to the next question. Thoughts on people being comfortable with exposing themselves and their body.
So I didn't understand this question when I first read it. I'm like, are they exposing themselves to people? Like, what's happening here?
I think this is maybe going with the culture of like OnlyFans, like the OnlyFans kind of thing that's going on.
Or like Instagram, like just friend story. Or
something like that, like you got like a little bit of
you're sending pictures to people.
Okay, so this is like pretty simple. I don't think we should take that much time on this question. We have a way more cooler questions. So I would say that this one is like, why? Why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Like, so if I'm in Bali and I take a picture of me on the beach in my shorts and I expose my dad body to the world, like I have no other motive than I don't even know if I would do that, but it'd probably just be like a family picture or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. But if you're doing it because there's something longing inside of you for an affirmation and some sort of fulfillment, like you're like, I just want to be liked, then there's like way better ways to get that affirmation and fulfillment.
For sure. And I would say, be careful. Because oftentimes you think those pictures could be going to someone that respects you and that loves you, and that may not be the case later on down the road.
True.
And I would just say you are worth a lot. So not just anyone gets something like that. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I would want every single one of you to know, that you are worth so much. So I'm like, does anyone get those pictures? Right? Does someone just say, oh, I want a picture from you? I'm like, no. Like, I would say no. You're incredible. And
you're worth more than that.
Yeah.
You're worth more than that.
So
don't sell it cheap.
Yeah. And
Or expensive.
whoever later on down the road that's your wife or husband that's getting one of those pictures, that's like, that's your husband or wife. But all the other people, it's kind of like,
That's
do you
true.
really get this? Do you get this? No, probably not.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm.
Yeah, and I mean, could I tell you guys, like, anyone that's watching, like, I've been a part of a lot of, when I say a lot, maybe just a handful of situations where because someone had sent a nude or a photo that they kind of, like, they sent to somebody, and that circulated around schools, that circulated friend groups, all that stuff.
Up to the iCloud.
Yeah, you know, just kind of, you're kind of
Family
asking
album.
for some regret if that goes to the wrong person.
Yeah.
It comes up on the Apple TV on
You know,
Thanksgiving.
when you guys are watching,
Yeah.
like, you're outside while all your family's watching on the TV,
Yeah.
and it's like,
And not that you ever intended for that to happen.
yeah,
Yeah.
but the internet's crazy.
Careful.
Yeah, for sure.
that's crazy,
And
yeah.
people are broken.
Yeah,
And they do stuff that
Yeah.
just makes them feel better.
yeah.
To get likes, to get affirmation,
Yep,
to
fit
get
in.
revenge,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
But this and your body, it's something special.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
That's good.
You
That's
gotta take
good.
care of it.
Next question. Is anal sex considered losing your virginity? If not, exactly what is considered losing your virginity?
Yes.
Ooh.
This is
Ooh.
a multi-layered question.
Ooh, deep. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'll take this one.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
So
anal
maybe go
sex-
from this one first. If not, what is
I
considered
can nail them
losing?
both in like one.
Okay, go for it.
Okay.
Boom, boom.
So, okay, number one, I'm going to say this. If you're out there and you're trying to hold on to your virginity, you're keeping that V card tight, I would say, it's more about your heart than the actual act.
Yeah, totally.
So if you're looking for loopholes,
Yeah.
like how could I do everything I can
But
but not lose my virginity? I'm like,
Yeah.
why? Because it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not actually even about losing your virginity. It's about the kind of vulnerability
Yeah.
and the kind of openness and the kind of depth that you're experiencing when you're giving yourself fully to somebody.
Yeah.
That's what it's about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a big
So
deal.
the goal isn't keeping your virginity. The
Yeah.
goal is keeping yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And only giving yourself to someone
so
when
good.
it's like a real commitment.
Yeah.
You know
that's
what I
good.
mean?
That's good.
So I would say that's number one. So that you could actually take that, run with that. I don't even need to answer the question. But when you look scientifically, losing your virginity, in the Old Testament, in the Hebrew covenant, it talks about losing your virginity as an act of making a covenant with someone because there was a spilling of blood because the hymen skin was broken.
Yeah.
That was a covering on the vagina.
Yeah.
Right. And that break and that bleeding, that process sealed the covenant of a man and a woman.
Yeah.
And that was the virginity. That was her virginity. That was
Yeah.
their virginity, actually. Right? So that's it. So, like, when you look at that, is anal sex losing your virginity? The answer is no. But I would say anal sex is going to have the same ramifications of losing your virginity.
Yeah.
Totally.
You're opening yourself and making yourself absolutely vulnerable to someone
Yeah.
without any real promise of commitment
Yeah.
or value.
Yeah.
Right? So I would say that don't try to find loopholes and don't try to look for ways
Yeah,
to
with the heart.
Yeah.
because it's gonna cause the same thing.
Yeah.
That's
Right?
good.
So that's it.
Yeah. Sex is a big deal. And I
Yeah,
think
that's it.
like in society,
It's called anal sex for a reason. Vaginal sex, anal sex,
Yeah.
oral sex.
It's-
These are
It's
big
still
deals.
sex.
It's
Yeah.
all
Sex is a
sex.
big deal. This is
I
what's
think
around around it.
obviously in
Yeah.
society it's made it so like, oh, like it
Sex
doesn't
is
really
somebody's
matter.
free,
But
yeah.
actually, if you look at the science of it,
Yeah.
it does, and it is a big deal. And
Yeah.
someone in the process of these different acts, in being vulnerable, in putting yourselves out there, in still releasing of chemicals and different things, it still is doing things in your body, right? And so, I would just say with all of this different stuff, I love what you said. Like when we look for the loopholes, right?
Yeah.
And ask yourself, the why behind things.
Yeah. That's
I
good.
think is probably the
Yeah.
best one.
That's great, guys.
That's awesome, babe.
I love it. Alrighty, let's keep it moving, people. Next question. Does having a relationship help with your mental health?
Can
Yeah.
or can't.
Yep.
Yeah,
It
it's
can
true.
do both.
Depends on how healthy you are.
the
Depends on
two
how
of it.
healthy they are.
I think relationship, not
Yeah.
romantic
Community.
Yeah,
specifically,
yeah.
but relationship for
Can help.
sure. It is
sure.
is actually, I think, meant and given to us. It's such a gift.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that we do have people, we feel united
Yeah.
with people. We have people
Not like a
helping
one.
us out. Yeah.
Yeah, not like love relationship, like community
Yep.
relationships with people.
So for your mental health, like
Yeah.
even having strong, healthy relationships that aren't romantic are going to help you.
Yeah.
Right? And are going to be something that are going to add to your life, hopefully, unless, you know, people aren't as healthy. And
sure.
again, we're in the place in ourselves where we're sucking from.
Mm-hmm.
Because in any kind of relationship, it's meant that we get to add to and they get to add to, right?
Yeah.
And at certain times, people are going to have low times and better times, but we're journeying this out with each other.
Yeah.
And actually going through different things with each other, it deepens the relationship. That's when it gets good, right? Otherwise, you just have surfacey relationships. So I would say never shy away from going through difficult stuff, because that's when you start training and really know what it is to be in a healthy relationship. Also, that's where you start to really see some stuff about yourself that you probably need to work on, right?
Yeah, totally.
And that's healthy. That's healthy when we do work on ourselves. And I know, like, maybe at the ages of people that are watching this, you're just like, I'm not thinking about that. But I would say if you're able to think about a romantic relationship or have sex, then you would be able to think about this stuff, right? To really think about what's going on in myself. Like, who am I? My self-awareness. Do I know why I'm thinking these things or why things bother me or different things? I don't know. I would say that I would do that side first and then go into this, because it's going to help the relationships be a lot better, and so that you're having healthier ones so that they do help your mental health.
Yeah,
Great answer.
Yep.
that's good. Fantastic.
We're meant to be in community.
Let's keep it going. Is changing yourself or your principles good for a healthy relationship?
Change yourself
Yeah.
or your
Principles
principles good for a healthy relationship.
I'm super passionate about this one.
Okay.
Yeah,
'Cause, like,
I
I'll
think
see
this is
like a
good.
meme.
Yeah, actually, this is good.
And the meme will be like, oh, if it's real love, you shouldn't have to change yourself. They'll accept you for who you are. I'm like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. If I stayed the same 22-year-old guy that I was when you met me
Oh my
with our
gosh.
kids, like, imagine that. Like, you're like, hey, will you help with the kids? I'm like, I have to babysit them again. I'm going surfing. like, dude, of course you have to change who you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course you have to abandon
Yeah,
unhealthy character flaws that you have.
yeah,
Of course, principles,
Yeah.
things you used to think were important principles
Yeah.
are not anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to develop and discover
Yeah.
new principles.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. Right now, I would say that the way you know if it's good change or healthy change is you're better for it.
yes.
Right? If
That's right.
if you're with someone in a relationship and they're like, oh, like, okay, here we go. Janae and I used to always say this way back in the day when we were still trying to figure out our principles.
Yeah.
It's like, because you have different convictions,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like I think like movies, like war movies and stuff, where like it shows someone, I don't know, like samurai
Sacrificing himself.
You get your head chopped off, like a samurai clan comes in, like a ninja assassin. You know what I mean? Incredible. Janae, she's like, why are we watching this? This is horrible. This is so bad for your mind. Why do we need to see that person's head get stabbed with a sword? You know what I mean? And we had this whole conversation, and it became really frustrating because you'd be like, babe, this isn't okay. And I'm like, babe, this is super okay. Not only that, it's healthy.
Yeah.
It's edifying the body of Christ. So what we had to get to in our lives was like, we just decided that if we're doing it together,
Exactly.
we're rising to the highest conviction.
Yeah.
Right? So if it's me and you, and it's like, what are we going to watch? I'm going to rise to your conviction.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to pull you down and be like, babe, just watch one
Yeah.
samurai get their head chopped off with me.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to do that because that's something you don't feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So that's what healthy change looks like. That
Yeah.
you're rising up.
Yes.
That you're stepping up. That person with you isn't like challenging you to change and get worse.
Yeah.
And become less principled, but it's to have greater principles.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's what it looks like. That's what healthy evolution looks
Yeah,
like.
I love that, and I think in that and the other part of that is I don't put my principles of convictions on
Yeah,
you.
you don't
right?
like start like if you're like up in
that's
your
good.
room and you hear swords clinging and like you don't come downstairs and like, what are you doing? I told you. You know what I mean? You're like Alex is watching a samurai movie.
Yeah.
And have
Yeah.
and I'm on my Kindle.
Yeah, but we have conversations about that? For sure.
Yeah.
Do we
I mean,
we've had conversations
had
about why,
conversations. We
and I
still-
think there's certain things
Yeah.
that we've come to an agreement on because we
Yeah.
don't feel like it's healthy for our relationship.
Totally,
right?
100%.
Things that we're like, yeah, that's probably not the best, right? But I think if you never look at it, if you just never look at it, then you don't really know.
Yeah.
Why is this one of my principles? And then we all in life have a set of core principles, and then we have other ones too. Right? And so some of those foundational like core
Things
ones
that aren't compromisable.
are may never change in our lives, right? But that's why you want to align yourself and choose the person where you have some of those foundational commonalities the same, that
Alignment.
you're running in the same direction, right?
Yeah.
Because if those aren't set and
Makes
you're all
things easier.
kind of like wonky, then later on it's going to be really hard. And then there's some other ones that it's like, yeah, we don't completely see eye to eye, and maybe convictions or principles, but like that's not something that is, shaking the core of our relationship.
I had a Honda Civic in 1991 that had I couldn't afford a tire in college, so I had the spare tire on there.
Yeah.
And the spare tire is smaller than the regular tires.
Yeah.
And it wrecked my car because I drove around that way for like 9 months
Wow.
because the tire was off balance.
Yeah.
And it ruined the alignment. And that's what happens in relationships
Yeah.
when one person has different convictions than you.
Especially those core convictions.
Different
The
convictions.
alignment gets ruined. And
Yep.
you know what? It costs
It's
you.
just so
I had to pay a
hard.
mechanic to fix my Honda Civic. You're going to have to pay a psychologist to fix you. You're going to be messed up, homie.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And again, that's why you look at it like if you're not in a place in some of those core principles and convictions that we're just not willing to let go, if it's not matching up,
Yeah.
Then
it's
find
probably
someone
not
that
the
will.
best.
Yeah.
Someone will. That's it.
Right?
So many people out there,
There's a
man.
lot.
Yeah.
That's what
Billions of people.
Yes,
Count to 1 billion right now. A long time. So one thing we said this before. Like if I mean I was just saying it. If you are someone that you're wanting to be uncompromising in your values and to the other person, and then neither of you guys want to change, then you're both probably not ready for a relationship.
Yeah.
Both are probably not ready for a
Jordan,
relationship.
that's so good, bro.
Like if it expecting someone to change to how you want them to be, all that stuff, and if they're not wanting to do that because they're just like, no, you gotta let me, it just shows that people aren't ready to die to, I don't want to wake up early, I don't want to clean my room, I don't want to do this, I don't want to show up here. You're just not ready for a relationship.
Bro.
Yep.
You just want something out of them, and you just want to be single. You want sex
you
from
wanna-
them, and then you want your own life.
You want to be comforted. You want to be
you want to be
affirmed.
comforted. You want to be, you're just like a baby, and you're like, I just need you to feed my
Oh
ego,
my gosh,
but let me live
Jordan.
my life.
That's so good, bro.
Right? So it just shows you are not ready for the commitment of a relationship. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's that.
Great.
All right, let's go. Next question. What are some things about relationships people don't often talk about that should be talked about more often? What are some things about relationships?
Okay, here we go.
I mean, this whole convo has kind of been something, right? In a way. Yeah. But yeah, what were you going to say? I feel like after this, we should get the whole, what do we do if we
I think
had sex
personal
before?
development.
Relationships
Personal
people don't want to
development.
talk about that should be talked
Personal development.
for sure.
People always want to talk about how to help the relationship. They always want to talk about the other person. People always want to talk about the other
So
person.
true.
Yeah,
When
what
wives
they gotta
come to
do.
you,
Yeah.
what do they say? This is what my husband is
Yeah,
doing.
for sure.
When guys talk to me, they're like, bro, my wife. They're big babies.
Yeah.
I'm
Or
sure-
even when they're not married.
That's okay. I'm a big baby too. Like
Yeah.
when Janae's making me mad, I'm like, why'd you hurt my feelings?
Yeah, even when they're not married, just when you're in a relationship, we like to
relationship.
point fingers.
Listen, the thing that doesn't get talked about is how can I become healthier right now? How can I own this?
Yeah.
How can I take responsibility for what's happening?
Yeah.
And how can I evolve as a human being?
Yep.
Totally. That's
Right? I'm not going to blame the other person.
Yeah.
Maybe they may have something to own themselves,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to worry about that.
Yeah.
I'm going to own what I can, and I'm going to put in healthy action steps to
Yeah.
grow as an individual.
That's good.
That is very seldomly talked about. as
Yep.
far as relationships.
Yep. I think a good question to ask just in your daily life, whether you're in a relationship or not, is just, God, what do you want to show me? Like, is there something in me? Like, what work are you wanting to do? Because our whole life will be a process. He'll be doing different things in our life, bringing us and healing that brokenness and those places and showing us different things. And I think if we kind of put ourselves in a posture that's like ready, that's wanting it, and people just don't do that.
Yeah.
Right. But I think those are the healthiest people.
For sure.
That do that. Say, like, I know I don't have it all together. So what can I do to grow? It may not be all of this. And in relationships, there's always two sides of the story. And there's always different people playing a part. Even if it's us not, whatever, recognizing different things and allowing, you know what I mean? Being like, oh, I can be treated this way, right? There's all different things. But for us, as we grow, and if we start to really look at ourselves and the places we need to grow and say, God, what do you want to do? I'm with you. Let's do this. I think we'll be healthier people in the long run, whether we're in a romantic relationship or whether we're not.
Yeah.
It just will go a long way in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Can we get the next question up? Okay, wait. Before we do this, like, there's a question that I know was asked that I feel like we should bring up. I don't know if it's going to come up later, and you can tell me on the screen if it's going to come up, but it's a question that's like, what do we do if we've had sex before marriage? People that have already had sex, right? Is it there people on the camera? No. Can we ask that question? I think that's a great question to ask on here.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to do
I'll
that
ask that question. Hey, Jordan, what do we do if we've had sex before marriage?
Ooh, what do we do when we've had sex before marriage?
Yeah.
I'm asking you guys because you guys finals.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all giving it
I
this,
mean,
yeah.
What do you want to say?
I don't know. I feel like you're telling me
No.
I'm getting mixed signals here.
No. No signals. Anyways.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay, so having sex before marriage, if you've had sex before marriage, I'm gonna talk about this in the context where you're thinking like, I don't think I want to do this. Like if you're in a place where you're like, I don't want to have sex before marriage, but we've had sex before marriage, and it's like, what do we do now?
Yeah.
That's where I'm coming from.
For sure.
I would say that honestly, this is gonna like sound really hard, and this is especially hard if you're not in like a community. But I think you should get help.
Yeah.
Because once like you take off like the floodgates of like sex, it's super tough to like stop having it on your own.
Yeah.
Like especially if you're in a relationship with someone. Like if I'm in a loving relationship where I'm hanging out with someone every day and we've been having sex and we want to stop having sex, that is so hard to do alone.
Yeah.
Because it's like let's just be real. It's like the blind leading the blind.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, let's keep each other accountable to something we both want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you know what it's like? It's like me and Jordan were like going on a diet together. That's what that would be like.
Yeah.
It'd be like Jordan and I both love to eat. And it's like, oh, we're on a diet, but we're driving past like McDonald's or like banh mi. And it's like, hey, Jordan, let's be healthy.
Yeah.
Or we can go get banh mi right now.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is that it's just not, it's going to be hard. So get help.
Get help.
Get
That's
people
good.
around you that can encourage you, that you can be vulnerable with, that believe in you, that are hopeful for you, that be like, hey, dude, like you can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can keep this commitment. You can walk through with this.
That's good.
Right. And I think that also is going to tell a lot about the person you're in a relationship with. If you don't want to keep having sex and they do, or they don't want to get help, it kind of reveals like, hey, man, does this person really want to make healthy choices?
Yeah.
Right. So then it can bring up that conversation.
Yep.
Right. So,
and I think that could be like a core principle, right? And so if it doesn't align and they're like, no, this is what I really want to do, then it's probably not gonna be working right then, because it is it's you want someone in the relationship that's like, yes, let's, like, if this is super super important to you, like I'm gonna
value this.
Yeah, I'm gonna value it. I'm gonna do the loving thing, right? I'm gonna try to like help guard this boundary.
Yeah.
We all know that when boundaries have been crossed, it's really hard. It's hard to not cross them again. It is.
Yeah.
But does that mean, I just want to speak to all of you out there, if you are in a place and you have had sex and you're like, maybe I didn't know it then, but I don't really want to do it. That's not what I wanted. Maybe you feel like that's not God's best for you. Like, God is a restorer of things, right?
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Restore.
He's so
Restore.
redemptive. So is like the story over and now you can't have a great relationship? Not at all, right? And I think it's so beautiful when people are like, no, maybe they didn't see something before, but they start to want to value something in another way, or start to want to let God in on something more. Like, he's right there with you. And I think it's healthy for everyone to have someone walking with them in life and journeying with them, someone that they can be really real with and say, hey, these are, this is what I struggle with. No one wants to say what they struggle or their weaknesses, but that's a healthy place to be in, and say, this is really me. This is where I'm at, but this is where I want to grow towards, right? This is where I'm aiming, and I want someone to journey this out with me, right? And so I think that that's a great to let people in that way. So with this, if you've had sex before marriage and you want to stop, or you're like, oh no, did I mess everything up? No, God's still there with you. You still have so much life. He's gonna do amazing things. It's never too late to choose things, right? It's not like, it's like, yes, maybe your virginity is gone, but what that represents, like, you can still have an incredible healthy relationship. Sometimes the emotional effects that happen to us, when maybe it's not the right time, right? And not the right person, can have effects on us. And that's why when you journey with someone, they can help you through that, right? To work through those emotions so that you can be healthy. But there's a lot of other things that people go through as well. And we need to be doing the exact same thing. So that's why I would say to that.
Absolutely.
Really good.
Yeah, that's so good. And something, you said this earlier, Alex. You said when we say no, it empowers discipline. And I know that discipline carries into the longevity of relationship. It's so important to have. And I remember, like, if I'm honest, like some of the times from my inability to say no to previous sexual experiences have that stuff, like, as guys, I'm talking about as guys. Like, guys, I remember the first time I looked at porn. I remember the first time I was with this one girl, and the visualization, the emotions, the feeling, all that stuff plays in the mind of a guy. And maybe it does with a girl. I'm not sure about, like, girls genetically and how their mind thinks, but as a guy, like, that stuff plays over and over in their head. And so it's like in any of my inability to say no to things, it's carried into relationships. Always. It's carried into those things. And the fear is that if I don't say no to sex now, there's always that fear of, like, well, how will it affect my relationship later? How will it affect any of my relationships later? And I think that's a fear that I feel like I wrestle with. I think guys have to wrestle with, whether it's like, whether it's actually like they've had sex before marriage, or I mean, that stuff even gets equated to porn. It's the whole thing about being able to have the discipline to say no. Can help your ability to say no now is gonna. You taught me this. The ability to say no now is gonna help you say no later in your relationship.
For sure.
You can practice saying no.
Practicing
right?
no.
And that's what's so tough, because this is the thing with, like, if you're someone who you have vision for your life, you have vision for a great healthy faith journey with Jesus and a powerful marriage and everything like that, right? Guess what? There's going to be chances to have sex with other people when you're married. There's going to be chances to have emotional affairs with other people when they're married. There's going to be chances to break your wedding vows when you're married, right? And if you don't have the self-discipline and you aren't training yourself to be disciplined in a dating relationship, it's going to be incredible. It's not like you get married and all of a sudden temptation is just gone. It's not like you get married and it's just like, I just want to put this person first all the time. That doesn't happen. Right? In fact, what I would say, sometimes in marriage, it gets even harder to put the other person first. Right? So practicing that discipline, practicing that commitment, even when it means you're disciplining yourself to say no to the person you're in the relationship with. It's almost like if I say no to you now, it's going to help me say no to everyone else later.
Wow, that's great.
That's kind of like what it helps and what it creates and what it builds in you. Right? Like I'll talk to people where, like, they were dating someone who was married or in a committed relationship, and that person cheated on their partner with them. right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, well, we're in love. But then they're in a relationship, and then that person cheats on them with somebody else,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, if you're in a relationship with someone and they don't have great boundaries with physical boundaries or sexual boundaries with you, right? Then they don't have good boundaries, period. You don't compartmentalize boundaries and discipline. Boundaries and discipline are in every area of your life.
Yeah.
Right? So by showing boundaries, sticking to boundaries, having discipline in your relationship, what you're really doing is you're showing that person, listen, I'm a disciplined person and I believe in boundaries. So later you can feel safe because I'm a disciplined person. I believe in boundaries.
Yeah.
Right?
That's good.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh, thank you guys for getting the question on there. Appreciate it. Let's go to the next question, and I think we'll have to end with that. How much time do we have left, guys? How much time? End with this last question?
Okay.
10 minutes? Okay, let's just get this next question up, and we'll see as we go. What are some things that jeopardize a relationship aside from lack of trust? What are things that jeopardize
Not having healthy community.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh my gosh, that's so good. How many relationships do you guys know that like it's either your friend and this one person, you or that person, I don't know, but like when you're in that relationship, you isolate yourselves because it's your world and their world and they are your world. Oh my gosh.
For sure.
You know, so many
Not having
relationships like
healthy
that.
Yeah. I think
I'd
that's
say
great.
That's the biggest one.
Yeah.
That's a huge one.
That's
I
huge.
think, that is a huge one. I
Yeah.
think that's great.
Yeah.
But I definitely think selfishness, right?
Or, well, you caveat,
Yep.
not healthy or just not being healthy.
Yeah, for sure.
That's it.
Which all of these things,
Right?
yeah.
Either not surrounding yourself with healthy people or not being a healthy person yourself.
Yeah.
So you should be working on yourself.
Surrounding yourself with healthy people helps you
Help
be
you
a
become
healthier
a healthy
person.
person.
Because we all have blind spots. We all have things that we don't see in our own lives.
Yeah.
We don't have it all together.
Yeah.
And so when we allow a community around us that's healthy, they can say, hey, man, I'm seeing this. It's a little, then we can help and get ourselves help and become healthier, right? So, yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's good. Let's go to the next one. How to deal with rejection when it comes to this topic. Ooh, how to deal with rejection in relationships.
Yeah.
Oh. When like you
That's
try,
good.
like is this, I'm assuming this is going to come from, you tried to ask someone out and it didn't work out that good. You got rejected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard.
Try again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
try
it's
again.
so hard
Go
to
to the
put
gym.
yourself out there, right?
Smell good. No,
Smell
listen,
good.
it's never changed.
Yeah,
Go to the
that's
gym.
true. It's true.
Smell good.
That's true.
Learn some fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
try
okay.
again.
Try again.
Yeah.
Keep trying. Eventually it'll
Build
stick.
confidence in yourself.
I
too,
think
like-
confidence, because that's the thing. Even with something, say in fashion, I feel like a confident person,
Yeah.
you could probably put on just about anything. But if you're like, hey, this is me, and you're like confident in it, like that's attractive.
We talked about this
right?
last night, remember? About how there's some things that
Yeah.
attractiveness.
But
Remember
so
that show
I
we
feel
watched?
like with this, I think it's hard because when you put yourself out there, right? It's
Yeah.
never easy
easy.
to put yourself out there.
Never
And so what
easy.
we sometimes we like to retreat back in and be
Yeah.
like, I am never doing that again. I would just say take things slow, right? Because I think sometimes you put yourself out there, maybe you got a mixed signal.
Yeah, or you go too quick.
You
You jump
thought
too quick.
they-
It's just bad timing.
They were liking you. Yeah,
Yeah. Ooh, it could be bad timing.
it could be. But I think if
Feelers
you,
in, what I'm
you
saying?
know, you look at it and say, hey, maybe
feelers in.
maybe
Like-
that wasn't the best.
Little notes that say, "Do you like me? Please check yes or no." Try
Ooh.
that first, and then ask her out.
Do you
Or
like this
I would
now?
just
Please
say-
say yes or no.
Just take it slower.
Yeah.
Get to know someone.
Do they like your Instagram
You
pictures?
may be able to see. No.
So I'm just saying.
Random people like Instagram pictures.
I'm just saying. I mean, if they like every picture, hold on. How fast do they like their pictures?
No.
Do they have alerts turned on for your account? You know what I'm
I
saying?
don't know.
These are all ways to know.
Maybe.
So it comes-
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
I think test some things out, and I think if you go
Yeah.
slower, you're in the space with that person. Sometimes when you just see them and you're putting yourself out there, and they're
For
like,
sure.
I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
That could be rough.
Yeah.
But if you're in the same circle, get in people's
Yeah.
space, I would say even think through, like, was that someone that I even would really like
Totally.
want to be with,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
long term? You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
before you do that, because it does take a lot to put yourself out there, to be vulnerable.
That's true.
So.
That's true. And I got to say, look, you're gonna be okay if you get rejected.
For sure.
You're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
If you're from the ages of 13 to 20, you are gonna be okay.
You're gonna be
know,
okay.
You're
Yeah.
I remember this, guys. Count to 1 billion. Times
So
that
many
by
people.
7. That's how many people there are in the world.
So many.
You're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
You'll be okay.
It's true. And that person just may not be
Maybe
in the
it's
place,
God
you know?
saving
They're
you.
just
Maybe
not.
there's better for you.
Ooh, that's another one. Ooh, yeah,
Yeah.
like how
maybe,
you do
maybe that's
rejection.
not the right person.
How many guys know that sometimes the thing that you wish you wanted was actually the thing
Yeah.
that you did not need. Oh
Yeah,
my
come
gosh.
on,
exactly.
somebody.
And God
True.
knows it. Sometimes we want
Right?
stuff.
When
and
I
he's
was
like, you don't need
16,
that.
I was in love with this girl.
Yeah.
And I was like, she's going to be the most amazing wife and mother to my children. And she friend zoned me. And I cried
Yeah.
at a fountain at
Yeah.
a music festival in Seattle. I took her to a music festival and I cried.
She friend zoned you at the
Friend
music
Friend zone.
festival.
I said, I'm in love with you. That's what was my line. I
Yeah.
said, I was saying that, I
That's
was
big,
like,
man.
I'm in love with
Putting
you.
it out
And
there.
she literally was like, I just really love you as a friend. And then I stared at the fountain
And the teardrop.
and one tear came down.
Yeah. I mean,
You
that's
know
the
what? You know what's
thing.
really cool is I see her on Facebook. She would have not been a good mother and wife to my.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Maybe
Anyway.
God saved me. He gave
it's
me
not a
Janae.
person for you. Yeah.
Yeah, there
I
you
feel
go.
like, and it can be really hard for the person to figure out a good way to reject, right? That
Yep.
can be really hard. So empathy for that too.
Yeah.
It can be really hard to say, no,
sure.
I'm so sorry.
Really?
But I think
Okay.
that's kind.
Ooh.
If they do it in a
That's
kind way.
That should be another question. How can you reject someone? Ooh.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't know.
rough.
I still feel like ghosting is the easiest thing.
No,
Like it's so hard to
it's
shut
not.
someone down.
No, it's hard. But
Just block them on
it
your
can
IG.
be hard, but that doesn't
Just
necessarily. No, he's just joking. That's not necessary. That's not the loving
Hey,
thing to do.
If
though.
you do that, just don't do that in church because you still got to see people. I'm going to tell you that right
But
now.
it's not the most loving thing to do, but like
But that's yeah.
when you're looking
Oh
at
my
someone who's like,
God.
and you're just like, no, and then they're like, but why? And you're like, and you got to tell them why, dude. That's,
Yeah, but I mean that's hard. It's hard to do
Oh,
something like
goodness.
that. But like that's the thing. Like it helps us grow when we can
Yeah,
do
helps
those
people
things in a
grow.
loving way. So I would think about it. If you ever are having to reject, I can think of times where I have to really
DM
think it out
Janae.
and
if you
sit
need,
it out.
if you need,
If you need
to know how to
rejection
reject
advice.
people,
Janae's
Janae
great at
has rejected so many
peacefully
people.
rejecting- yeah.
That's not what I was
it
saying.
is. No, it's true. She
Janae's
did.
great at rejecting people in a
She's
very sweet way.
fantastic at rejecting
I don't
people.
know about that. But I do try to, you know,
Yeah. In
think
fact,
how they
sometimes
would
people
be
don't even know they're
feeling.
rejected.
think how they would be feeling. Sometimes we say words and we're
Still
not
waiting at the
thinking
altar
about
Still waiting.
today.
Yeah, they're like
Still waiting at the altar today.
their status is in a relationship with Janae on their Facebook.
That is
Janae,
I haven't talked to her in 18 years, but the way she set me down, I knew that we were still good.
Janae Efron, Janae Matthews. There's all these Janaes. It's like, what's going on?
oh my goodness. No.
All right.
No.
Do we have time for one more?
You have time for one more? Is that it? Last one. Okay, guys, let's wrap it up with the last one.
Ooh.
Ooh, is sex something we need to avoid?
No.
Absolutely not
Why?
in the right time
The right
and with the right
Come
person.
on. Hey, sex is bomb. High five.
Ooh. Ooh. Nice.
That's how good. That's how good sex is. Fail the high five sex.
I didn't want to fully connect to the high five because I was like, well, I can't fully connect. You
Immediately
guys
I
gotta
thought-
connect.
I was like, why is Jordan doing this? And
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
don't know.
I'm good with it.
I just saw the open hands and I was like, I'm going for it. That's great.
Oh dear.
Wow. But I didn't want to connect because I was like, wait, sex between you guys. This is kind of weird.
dude, sex is
Why did I
awesome.
commit?
Don't
It's
avoid it.
okay. It's okay. No, it is again. I would like to
so
reiterate something that we talked about at the beginning of this whole session, this Q&A. God designed sex, and it is a gift.
Yeah.
And it is incredible. I think that there's been a lot of things that have come in and have warped it, right?
It's made it cheap, made it like lame. Yeah.
But is it amazing? Do we have to feel like ashamed about it or like we can't talk? No, like it is a gift. God gave us many gifts that I think people are more comfortable talking about. But as we get comfortable knowing who we are, who God is, how he created us, who our partner is, we can be comfortable with it and not avoid it. But again, something Jordan said, right? We're looking at timing.
Yeah.
We're looking at are we in a place where we're choosing someone? Because I'll tell you this, in the act of sex, right, there are bonding chemicals that happen because you are supposed to bond with that person.
And those chemicals are a part of what makes it incredible.
Exactly.
Because those things get released in your body, and it's like, oh, this is awesome. I feel so close, and it's like awesome. But when those chemicals are depleted, sex becomes less awesome.
Yep.
And
so you're trying to find that, right?
Trying to push the limits because it used to be awesome and it's not awesome anymore.
Yep.
But you don't have to worry about that if you're doing it the right way with the right person.
Yep. In the right time, right? That you don't rush it or push it, but you're like, man, I'm in a place, this is the person that I'm choosing. I am willing to go past the lust, the feelings, the butterflies. I'm going into this long-term love relationship, right? So.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Well, hey, look, I know a lot of you guys probably asked questions, put up questions on the Slido. We're going to be posting some of our answers to those questions and continuing the conversation about sex and all this stuff. Because, again, we're not trying to just have one, like a one-stop shop for this stuff. Like, this is something, I love what they were saying earlier. If you're in the situation where maybe you've had sex before marriage, maybe you're struggling with masturbation or porn, or maybe you have questions, that's why we have tribes. That's why we have community. We create a space for people to jump in and have open community about this stuff and journey with each other throughout these things and figure if you need wisdom, like there's people that are here that have wisdom so that you don't have to go through painful, hard situations in your life, whether it's in relationships, sex, or anything, right? So thank you so much, Pastor Alex and Pastor Nay, for coming on board with us. And for you guys that are tuning in, we will see you on Tribes this Sunday, 11:30. We love everybody, and we'll see you then. Bye, everybody.
Bye.